An 18-year-old virgin is able to score the chance to lose it with a gore he met online. Bringing his two friends along, he embarks on a trip across the country to lose his virginity with hijinks ensuing along the way. Hello, everyone. I'm Caleb J.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
Welcome to a new episode of Filmgazm of Beyond the Bad.
do you want me to keep that, or do you want to try it again?
Fuck it. Let's keep it.
Okay, fine.
All right. So, in case anyone's wondering, I'm back before I can tell you what we're talking about today. If you haven't listened to Filmgazm, I am back. Connor mentioned it last week, was battling COVID last week. It got me. It hit me. Felt like a really bad cold. Luckily, I'm vaccinated and everything. So, took about 5 days of isolation, got better, and I'm here, ready to go, feeling rejuvenated. My lingering cough, whatever. With that, thank you, by the way, for you and Colton holding it down last week.
Of course,
on Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, you missed a doozy. That was quite a film. But
I know. I still watched it.
I know.
Look,
you loved it. I couldn't believe that.
I did. I had a lot of fun. It's really stupid and going not the plot I would have picked, but I had a good time. All it took is one, inappropriate on-set actor now, as we now learned, to make me like the film, because he did commit, and I'll give him credit.
Yeah, he was good, but maybe took the role of an evil bastard a little too real and just kept rolling with that for the rest of his career.
Never left Skeletor. But for today, we will be talking about a personal favorite and one I found out that you luckily like, so this should be fun. The late 2000s teen sex comedy Sex Drive. A film which, if you look at that box office, it did not do hot. And critics were pretty mixed on it. They didn't really hate on it. They didn't love it. It's in kind of one of those down the middle type things, the average reviews. Yet, like I said, I've enjoyed it quite a bit since I first seen it. It's actually a personal favorite comedy of mine. I know you said you recently watched it. You watched it for the first time for this and actually had a good time. Before I go into a question, which I think you're gonna like these questions. It's 2 questions today. I gotta make up for missing last week. I'll shoot it over to you for those good old Rotten Tomato scores.
Yeah, this is the base of how we pick these films. I mean, we might not necessarily agree with these scores, but we got to pick movies somehow. Sex Drive has a 45% Rotten Tomatoes critic score, 58 audience score. So, like Caleb said, pretty down the middle. Critics consensus reads: Sex Drive has some hilarious moments and is well made for a raunchy teen film, but will appeal to few beyond that demographic. Is that really a bad thing? I mean, these movies have a certain audience, and if people outside that audience don't like it, does that make it a bad movie?
No, it just means it's not your thing. It's like It's like me saying like it's just hating on romantic dramas because they're not my thing. But like, oh well, so they're all bad. It's like, no, I don't like them. I'm not seeking them out, but people do like them. There is an audience for them. Nothing wrong with that. If you like The Notebook, great. Not something I'm fucking going to watch again.
Yeah. I think people forget that not every movie has to be universally loved by everybody. Everything has an audience, everything has a demographic, and outside that demographic, yeah, probably not going to be, grandma probably is not going to enjoy Sex Drive. That's just, that doesn't make the film a failure, I don't think.
No, and before we recorded, I showed you the huge fucking movie order that just came in the mail for me because I took advantage of all those holiday sales. You saw it. Those are movies that appeal to me. They're a demographic that I fall into. I want to see it. I get why people are like, I'm not going to watch that. I get it, but it appeals to me.
Yeah. And that's something that somewhere along the line, I think we got a little too inclusive when it comes to how we talk about movies. And I think Sex Drive is a good example of that.
Yes, and this is a good little segue into my question of my first one I want to ask. And that's what are your so like I mentioned, this is a teen sex comedy, right? A subgenre that's been kind of thriving in comedy. I've always thought that outside of horror, comedy actually has the most playfulness with subgenres and what they want to do with it. They tend to really try to pull in other genres into it. And one obviously ongoing popular one for people being the teen sex comedy. It just seems to appeal to people. So with that, what are your thoughts on like this subgenre of comedy, on teen sex comedies?
I think on the whole, these are pretty funny. As a young man, this was one of, before I knew like how to find porn, this was pretty much like, how do I find boobs? I watch a teen sex comedy. And I know I'm not alone in that. So, but overall, what I've seen lately, over the years, pretty funny stuff. Like I'm a big fan of the American Pie franchise, which is pretty much like kind of the like the pinnacle of this kind of subgenre. Everything after I feel like is trying to be American Pie, and some get there, but nothing quite, gets there. But they've got their people. They always try to go over the top. And I like over the top comedy. And yeah, there's always what I like about these, especially, there's always a very good message in these. It's never just, mindless bullshit. It's always like bullshit with a point that ends up being like, trust your friends, or it's okay to be a virgin, or don't drive across 5 states to meet a lady you've never talked to. She's probably going to rob you. It's just, I like the messages these movies bring, and they're fucking funny, and they're rewatchable, and that's what a movie should be, is rewatchable.
Yeah, and I'm with you. So I know you've talked about before, you're not big into those coming of age dramas when it comes to like high school kid coming of age dramas, right?
It's
and
true.
I'm kind of with you. Yeah, I know this is not me coming at you anyway, because I'm kind of with you. Like I can't really watch a lot of them, and it's not that like I'm not trying to like demean these series or anything, like take away from it. But for me, high school, it wasn't bad, it wasn't great. It was just 4 years of my life that came and went. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Yes, I get the ideal. I know, obviously, that feeling when you're getting ready to graduate and get into the thing known as life for real is obviously a big thing we can all relate to. But for me, what I like about like the teen sex comedy stuff and things like this movie or Superbad, to name a more popular one, for being honest, since more people, that was a huge success. People know that one. The stuff that John Hughes did back in the 80s with Breakfast Club, like I said, American Pie. What I like about a lot of these movies is that they are delivering a lot of the same messaging of a teenage coming of age trauma, and taking those things you can relate to and putting that ideal of like, life's about to hit us, friendships about change, all that stuff we can all relate to, but wrapping it in very over the top comedy. And that's what I like about this genre, is that I'm getting the laughs, I'm having my just funny moments. And when people are sitting there like, oh, they're just raunchy and all it is about sex, I'm like, yeah, we were all fucking horn dogs in high school and college. Like, even if you try to be that guy, I was like, I wasn't. You thought about a lot, like, and like even some of the stuff, like I know some people would point out like some stuff in Superbad hasn't aged well, right, because they can't say certain things now, and I get it. But aside from that, the theme of like wanting to lose your virginity and not being that guy and stuff, that I remember going through that in high school. I think most guys go through that in high school. I can't speak on behalf of women, but a lot of guys go through that in high school. So it's like, yeah, even though they are making it as over top, as raunchy as they can, showing us lots of boobs, there's still a sense of like realism with that, what you go through with your hormones and stuff in high school. And like you said, still wrapping all that though within a message of like, hey, just stay true to yourself. Like you said, don't trust people online in this movie's case. You know what I mean? Like they still find a way to put in a good message there and impart you with something beyond just, hey, here's another dick joke, here's some more boobs.
Well, I find these movies to be more relatable than the coming of age dramas, because I knew a lot of people who talked like this, who were just trying to get laid, who were just idiots. I didn't meet anybody who was like, this is the defining time of my life and things are going to change. I've never met that person, but I knew tons of fucking morons who threw gay slurs around and just wanted to fuck. So, like, this makes more sense to me than a movie like The Fault in Our Stars or one of those movies. I don't take all that very seriously. Teenagers aren't that interesting. Sorry, folks. I've never enjoyed coming of age dramas because it's always the same fucking movie. And at least with these, you know what you're getting into. You know it's going to be stupid. You know you're probably going to laugh. But, like, you know, the message still comes through just in a much more palatable way.
Yeah, and for me, because of it, these films are more nostalgic. They make me feel more sense of nostalgia, and do actually make me go back to thinking about my own time in high school more than like a straight up like coming of age trauma does. Like these movies go like, oh yeah, I remember that when I was in high school. Yep, I remember that. And how, you know, it's like it makes me much more nostalgic. And yet, what's funny is, like you said, like it gets attacked by critics, like, oh, it's just being. It's like I connect to a time in my life, and I get more started watching these than your serious coming of age fucking drama where, like you said, it's just this is a defining moment of my life. It's like, no, I didn't even think that when I was in high school. I was just like, I gotta get ready for college. Life is coming up. Oh God.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, regrettably, because of, you know, the way society changes, you know, adapts, we're getting less and less of these in this way because of how, you know, I get why people are upset with movies like this, because they do just throw around some heinous shit that was considered just like mild comedy in the 2000s. But, you know, that is how a lot of teenagers talked in 2008. And, you know, I don't really know what else to say about that.
Yeah, and I think that's what I like to tell people is like, look, I get it, and I understand if you get offended, they throw away, you know, a lot of stuff. I'm actually going to mention some of this in my awards. I will, so it will be brought up then. But like, you know, again, every film that comes out is always going to be in a way a reflection of its time. Eventually, there's going to be films that are there's already films that are a reflection of COVID, for Christ's sakes, with fucking, like, you know, Host, right? Um, Same thing with this. It's a reflection of times. I'm not saying I'm not finding that. I'm not using that excuse to defend and say it was all right, but they were allowed to say these things and people laughed. Like, and you know, things they say, I've heard, like you said, I've heard teenagers say in high school these very fucking slurs now.
I'm going to take it even further. Go back to 1942. There's a film called Holiday Inn that came out starring Bing Crosby and I think either Fred Astaire or Danny Kaye. It's not important. That film has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes and has a very long, very uncomfortable blackface scene where Bing and the lead lady throw on blackface and sing a song called, I think it was Mammy, on President's Day. So things have gotten better, but why is that film 100% and Sex Drive is considered, you know, too raunchy and not, you know, like we got to forget that one, but we keep Holiday Inn? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's interesting that we get. I think it's interesting that we get selective, right? It's like we live in a world now where it's here, like you go all in or not. I've noticed for a lot of stuff, but then also when we get to the film and it's, well, that's okay, but not that, right? You know what I mean? Like, and you're seeing it a lot of times with actors or directors or celebrities in general that are getting like they're ready for heinous crimes and then being like, well, they come back and have a second chance. It's fine. I'm like, no, they got charged for rape. But I don't want to see them on fucking camera. Like, no. Right. Like, or okay, thinking on that line, right? People again, you know, are mad about, you know, point out the various slurs and homophobic things said in this film that are used as jokes, right? They call this movie out, but Roman Polanski, who we all know definitely raped a child, is still getting Oscar nominations. It's still making movies. Fled the goddamn country. Like, anyone who's like, well, he might be, he fled the country. That's not what an man does.
There's no innocent there. He was convicted. He fessed up to it. He served time. The judge wanted to give him more time. He fled the country to avoid that. Like, I read his autobiography. I know what went down.
Yeah. So it's like, and again, I'm not trying to say like well, rape's first. It's first. But like if you're going to go after, a movie for being there's saying things you don't agree with, and I get it, you get offended, don't watch the movie. But I get it, you have every right to be offended. You have that right. I'm not saying you don't, but don't sit there and say like, well, I don't want this because things I say in this movie, but I'm going to support a director that raped. That doesn't really line up for me all that much. You know what I mean?
It is kind of a either go all in or shut the fuck up kind of situation.
I guess. Yes.
We had a little talk off recording, and I was able to switch some stuff around so it didn't sound so fucking heinous.
Yeah, but then you brought it back.
I brought the statement back, but I didn't bring back the whole thing. Inside joke. You had to be there.
I was joking. Let's not get. Let's go on to the second question. So if anyone knows the history of comedy, usually we get like a gang of some kind, a group of comedians that break out, and we get just a run of great stuff, and then it kind of dies down. Then we wait for the next group to break out. Still waiting, by the way, for the next group of people. But around this time, around this early to late 2000s time, we were blessed, as you know, with people like the Will Ferrell troupe of comedians doing a bunch of stuff with things like Anchorman and Step Brothers and whatnot, right? We were also being blessed with Apatow and his company doing stuff with Seth Rogen, Paul Rudd, right? We just had a slew of what's considered now very classic comedies. And those were big hits, right? Like those were huge hits. They had people that, comedians we recognize that we want to see more of, right? So they became big hits. But what I did notice, and especially now that we're kind of actually doing some comedies on our shows, especially in these early 2000 ones, it seems like if it wasn't any of those guys that were for sure box office moneymakers,
yeah,
comedy had a really hard time being successful at the box office, a real hard time with critics. And that's what I think happened here. So my question is, do you think because of these titans that were kind of out at the time and were consistent, do you think any film that they weren't in, like any comedy that didn't involve these kind of named comedians, stood a chance at all at the box office? Or were they all just doomed to be like Sex Drive?
I think that everything in Hollywood comes in waves. And if you're not part of the wave, you're going to be overlooked. And comedy in the 2000s was very much, Will Ferrell, Apatow, like these guys controlled the direction comedy films were going in. Their films were the hits. And there was a lot that slipped through the cracks. I think a lot of it's being, rediscovered and reevaluated, which is nice. But at the time, I mean, it's like an animated, independent animated film going up against a Disney movie. Like, sure, some people might see it, but it's not going to make any kind of money compared to the big one. And
yeah,
that's just the way it works in Hollywood. That's always how it's been. And you don't really know what's going to be on top until something hits. And I think for this, I think it was the 40-Year-Old Virgin. That was like the big movie that surprised everybody. And from there, It just kind of like, Apatow was able to do pretty much anything.
Yeah, I'm not saying because of that, we got actually all the comedians I just named. I mean, we got Apatow out of it. We got Steve Carell, became a huge fucking name. And at that point, Seth Rogen's in that movie, Paul Rudd, like a lot of those guys became mainstays of comedy that, are still, I mean, to this day, they're still guaranteed box office successes. People will still go see their shit.
Yeah.
So I kind of noticed that. And I was thought like, we talk about a lot, obviously now the big ones, like, any original film that isn't attached to a franchise. But I was just thinking, that's where I came up with this question was like, I'm kind of with you. Like, I think unfortunately, none of these films, if they didn't have these guys in it, they didn't stand a chance. I think it's just like with original film now and small independent films coming out now. It's just they didn't stand a chance. Like, yeah, people like myself probably would have seen them and like, oh, this is really fine, but it didn't have that guarantee that people expect with Seth Rogen, with Will Ferrell, or any of those guys.
Well, one of my favorite things about the way film is now, streaming and all that, is that a lot of these films are getting a second wind that I don't think anybody ever expected, which is really cool. People will find them on, HBO or Netflix or Prime or whatever, and they'll watch this movie and think, oh, that was really good. And then more people will see it. And, you see an article about like, so-and-so wins, top streaming movie on Netflix after being buried for 20 years. So I like that that's happening now. A lot of films are getting reevaluated because the reach is so much bigger than it's ever been.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that obviously with genre big time. We're a big horror comedy, things like this movie, Euro Trip, Road Trip. I see talked about a lot more. People being like, "Oh, those were actually really funny." I'm like, "Yeah, they were." Scotty doesn't know. Scotty, that fucking was hilarious. Go Matt Damon. But it is good that it does suck that time they didn't. I mean, no, I'm not taking anything away from the people I named, because they gave they were legitimately funny. They gave us a lot of great comedies out of it. But it is nice to see these guys that had a little bit of a smaller audience, probably let's say more of a cultish following. They're getting kind of a second win. People being like, "Oh, these were actually really good." And I have noticed that, like, the kind of go back to the first question, the teen sex subgenre, like I said, it's probably one of the most enduring subgenres of comedy. Like, it never really, it seems to just always find steam, and movies get rediscovered in that particular subgenre and find new life. Because I think it's just a very relatable subgenre, so it's easy for people to get into.
Yeah, teenagers are always gonna want to fuck, and they're always gonna be just ridiculous idiots. So, every generation of teenagers are gonna find these movies and see something in it.
Yeah. With that, I'll go ahead and move on to Development Hell, which in this case there's no hell attached. This was actually pretty much filmed smoothly. Just no issues. What was interesting is how this movie started. It's based off a novel. And if you're thinking, oh, this must be a raunchy ass, no, not a raunchy novel. It's a YA novel.
How did that happen?
It's a tame novel.
Wow. Can't imagine pitching that shit. Like, hey, this young adult novel, I want to turn this into a raunchy R-rated comedy. Sure. Why not?
Early 2000s. People took risks then. MCU wasn't dominating. But this actually started producer Bob Levy. And again, his search to get the YA novel adapted. He really liked the novels. Like, hey, I want to make a movie out of this. He ended up getting both Sean Anders and John Morris on board. Who do have a fun cameo for those who are wondering. They're the ones that pop out of the stall in the bathroom for the glory hole sequence. That's them.
That's great. That's wonderful.
What their characters said in those stalls. I'll let you try the conclusion when there's a glory hole in there. But Anders would be the one to direct. Sean Anders directed this, and he also worked on script, and then Morris helped with scripting as well. But he produced, so they both wrote it. Anders would then go on to direct, and Morris stayed on as producer. They both enjoyed the book, and they actually came up with the idea to make it the film adaptation more adult and raunchy. How they convinced anyone, I don't know. But they were like, hey, let's make it more adult, more raunchy, but keep the core idea of the story intact. So the core theme of the story of going on this road trip of a guy trying to lose his virginity, that part they kept intact from the novel. Like, keep that, just make it more for adults.
Sounds like this is barely an adaptation of this novel. Like, basically, like, let's take the road trip and change everything else, which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out. It worked out for us. I'm not gonna say it worked out on their favor because I've seen the box office. But it worked out in my opinion. And believe it or not, their inspiration on why they wanted to do this was actually would be the work of John Hughes. For those who live under, for you film fans that live under a rock, this is a guy that has given us stuff like Pretty in Pink, The Breakfast Club. Like, he was it when it came to 80s teen comedies.
I can see that. I can see like kind of a raunchier John Hughes vibe in this movie. Definitely like compared like a movie like 16 Candles definitely influences. I can see that.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
So I definitely watching it and then seeing them like, okay, I can see that 100%. So and from there, casting was pretty easy. And from there, I actually wouldn't mind talking about the casting mix. I actually really like a lot of the actors in this movie. But from there they got the likes of Josh Zuckerman, Clark Duke, and Amanda Crew, who played our three main leads. They pulled in James Marsden, who we'll get more into him and how he was actually a particularly good find for them at the time in his career. I'll get into that in a minute. Seth Green, obviously a huge win at that time. The guy is a comedy legend, so that was a win. Katrina Bowden in like her first major role. For those who have seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil, I thought, wow, that blonde chick's super hot and really funny. Well, watch Sex Drive, you get more of her. David Ketchner, again, our comedy legend, so another fucking win there. And then for you Walking Dead fans, or those like me that are holding on to the bitter end, Michael Cudlitz, Abraham himself, pre-Walking Dead.
Yeah, the cast is pretty good. I liked pretty much everybody with a couple exceptions, which obviously we'll talk about later. But seeing Cyclops go apeshit like this was interesting.
he commits so hard in this movie, and I and his character, and I'll get into it and how they utilize it, admittedly has not aged particularly well. But goddamn, if he doesn't like go full throttle with the role.
I disagree. I think his character has aged exceptionally well because every over the top asshole jock who's actually a closeted gay man acts exactly like this.
This is true. I read a fun little fact that the costume he's wearing, like his main outfit, he just brought that. Like he came to set, like he got so into like getting into the character and reading script. He's like, he had like a vision of how the guy would look in his head. So like the hair and everything he did himself, because he's like, this is who this guy is. And like came in with the outfit and they came on. Apparently the costume was like, hey, James, like, that's cool. We brought that, but we need you to just see the costume. He's like, nah, this is it. It's like, this is the costume. And it works out because he looks like a fucking douchebag. He looks like who he is.
Yeah. I'm glad he was, he had great insight into the character. Apparently it's funny that he would follow 3 X-Men movies and Superman Returns with this.
I know. Look, I low-key actually really think he's one of the most underrated actors working in Hollywood. I usually really like him. And when I see, I don't think he's ever gotten his due.
He's been getting some, I can't speak for current season, so I don't know if he's made it, but Westworld was a big boost for him.
Oh yeah, he's in that. I heard he's really good in that. I liked him in the Sonic movies.
That's right. Yeah, he's killing it in the Sonic movies.
Yeah, he was cracking me up in the second one with how much he wanted to hang out with Sonic. He was so clearly mad about being separated from him.
I love that he was just like, he had no choice but to fuck up that wedding. Where he's just like, I don't want to do this, but I need that ring. They're just like, no, go sit down. He's like, I can't. I need that.
When he just punches, he's like, I'm really sorry about this. He just punches him.
Yeah, I think he's better utilized in comedies. I think it's a similar thing that like Chris Hemsworth went through, where it was just like leading man syndrome, and like he was good, but you could tell that he wasn't being fully utilized. And then we saw him in comedy, and we're like, oh, that's why.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, Marsden, to me, this movie and Sonic proves like the guy has a really good comedic like bone, like good comedic timing. Like guy excels in comedy. I'm like, just keep playing him in comedy because he is good. I know a lot of people like him in was it Enchanted? That's it. Yeah, because we're making the sequel. I know a lot of people like him in that, and that's where he's being over the top and comedic again. So it sounds like he just needs to keep doing comedies. That seems to be his niche.
Yeah, he's good. I think he's going to be in the Disenchanted. Probably. I think everyone's coming back.
Yes, Disenchanted. I'm sure he's going to be in Sonic 3 because that's been confirmed. So I'm sure he'll be in that.
Nice.
And actually, I think it hit the in time. Um, that does bring me to like kind of like him and how this was actually a decent win at the time. Because like we said at the time, he'd been mainly known for romantic comedy lead roles. Like that was kind of like what he was doing. So this character at the time he did it, again, we've seen him kind of do other stuff since, but when he did this was a little bit off character. And like I mentioned, when he got so into it, he apparently had a blast. Like, and the crew loved him. He was just having a grand time playing this just over the top, horrendous character because he never got to play that before.
Yeah, those are usually the best roles for some actors who finally get to let loose and just experiment and be crazy. And they end up being the most memorable roles of their careers. I love when that happens.
Yeah, I would say very recently, we saw that with Jensen Ackles in The Boys and getting to play Soldier Boy. You could tell he was having a time of his life just playing this just heinous character after 15 seasons of Supernatural.
For sure. Yeah. And that was a nice, change of pace. I think Chris Hemsworth's probably the best example of this, just personally, the transition from like Thor, the Dark World to Thor Ragnarok, and just seeing this completely new, fresh take on the character and just watching him have so much fun getting to be like the craziest version of Thor he could be.
Yeah, especially if you take account that he openly talked about almost leaving the role because he was so burnt out after the first two films of having to be so serious, not really connecting to the character. And then, Waititi convinced him and Marvel finally was like, you know what, play it the way you want. And now he loves it. Now he's like, I'll keep playing it as long as I can.
Isn't that great? I love that. That's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I know we've talked about it briefly when we're coming up with titles for this episode, but for the Rumspringa scene, you may have noticed, this being 2008, a certain popular, I'm going to say pop punk. I really don't give a shit what the actual label you call this band, but you may notice Fall Out Boy is in this scene. You're wondering how the hell. First, I'm in a very obviously inauthentic take on the Amish community. They get Fall Out Boy to do this movie. Apparently, Seth Green's friends with the band.
That makes sense considering the post-credit scene.
He was in one of their music videos, made friends, and asked them to be in the movie.
That's awesome. I saw Fall Out Boy last year in concert. I didn't want to, but they were part of the group I wanted to see. I drove to Houston, I believe, to see Green Day, Weezer, and Fall Out Boy do a show. And I was there for Green Day and Weezer. Fall Out Boy was in the middle, regrettably, so I had to watch the whole set. I'm not a fan of Fall Out Boy, but I saw him in concert.
I know. I'll say there's songs I know because they're like, it ain't a scene, it's a goddamn. Like I know that one. Yeah. Obviously, we're going down, because those were huge hits. They played every fucking word you went. Yeah. But no, I've never been a Fall Out Boy fan. If I'm being honest, I know this is probably going to be controversial for some. I'm not the hugest into Weezer either. I like Beverly Hills and Say It Ain't So, but I've never been that big. I do like Green Day though. I do defend the Green Day.
Well, my cousin's a huge Weezer fan, and I was taking him, but I do like Weezer a lot. I think I like a lot of their music. I think they're cool. So
that's always an interesting couple of years of music. We had that pop punk era of like Simple Plan, Fall Out Boy, Blink-182 was fucking huge. God.
Yeah. It's funny the phases we go through as a society, isn't it? Sometimes it's raunchy comedies, sometimes it's pop punk, sometimes it's, like fucking what are they called? Bell bottoms. Like it's weird what defines certain decades. I always wonder what's going to define the 2020s beyond, just COVID. I hope something else happens that's a little more positive than just COVID and abortion rights going out the window.
Hopefully. We'll see. So far, it's pretty terrible 2 years. Yeah. 2020 is not off to a good start. Hopefully we can get something on the back end. or in the middle, please. It is interesting. It was friends that like watch, especially because obviously they always talk about you get older, things become more nostalgic. And when I watch movies like this and they start playing like a Fall Out Boy song or like fucking Blink 182, I'm like, oh goddamn, I'm getting nostalgic. So I can remember these songs being everywhere in every just like fun-filled comedy or family film that came out.
I love that this movie chose AC/DC's B-side track, Let's Get It Up, as the Cars theme song. Every time that fucking car showed up, the guitar for Let's Get It Up like came into view. And that, for those who don't know, that song is about just getting a boner. So
yeah, I mean, if you don't know anything about AC/DC, their songs are about two things and two things only: partying and sex.
Yep. Getting laid and getting paid. That's all they sing about.
All I was thinking about. Partying, sex, there you go. And you know what? I ain't knocking it because they have been able to last a hell of a long time successfully, not once dipping in that success.
Nope.
So
the formula works, but I do love, like, I've never heard that song in a movie before. So I was like, kick ass.
Yeah, dude. I do think it's funny if you actually pay attention. A lot of the music they pick is all about sex. A lot of it's like, well, this is the movie you're watching, so we're just gonna pick songs that talk about sex.
You ever heard "Go Down" by AC/DC?
No.
It's a late 70s track off their album Let There Be Rock. The entire song is about Bon Scott getting a blowjob.
Jesus Christ.
It's an awesome track, but it's also just hilarious.
I remember I gotta go on this nice little tangent now. I remember when my dumb brain started picking up on things sexually and listening to Lick It Up by Kiss and going, oh shit, and going like, oh my god. Wow, this whole song is about fucking eating pussy. That is what it's about.
A few years ago, I saw Kiss in concert on their like 8th farewell tour. And I was sitting, I took my cousin Ryan, who's like my concert buddy. And I was sitting next to this 12 or 13-year-old girl who was super timid, very shy, didn't say much. And then Kiss came on and they started singing Lick It Up. And this little girl went ape shit. She was screaming, lick it up. I was laughing my ass off. I was like, this kid's going to grow up to be an awesome person.
Get so excited.
She was, I don't think she was, at that age, you're not thinking about that. You don't know what that is. You just know I like this song. But
it's catchy.
It's one of my favorite. It might be my favorite Kiss song. It's a badass song. But
get up.
I just love that.
That one, and I remember when I had to I remember listening to Cherry Pie by Warren all my life going, I like the song, it's catchy. And then when after I had the Birds and the Beats talk, and I knew about sex and I was a teenager, I'm listening to the song, I'm like, God, it's a good song. I'm gonna add to this. My dad looks at me and goes, you know what it's about, right? I'm like, yeah, cherry pie. He's like, he snickered, he's like, ever heard the term pop in your cherry? And I went, yeah, why? And then he just looks at me and I go, oh my god.
I love that you thought it was about a cherry pie.
Yeah, I thought he really liked cherry pie for the longest time. And I went, oh no.
Oh my god.
He does like cherry pie, but not the one I'm thinking of.
Who doesn't? That's funny. I love it because that song is not exactly subtle either. So you really had to just not know what that meant.
The music video is not subtle either.
Not at all. Oh my god. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. My dad had a good laugh that day. I was like, I really thought for the longest time he was singing about cherry pies.
Oh, good stuff. Very good stuff.
On that note, now that I'm sure I'll get flamed relentlessly. So as you can tell, right, this kind of went swimmingly. Like there was no issues with production. It seemed like everyone was kind of having a good time. But unfortunately, the infectious attitude did not translate to box office or critical reception. It was a flop. Like it was literally, I think they were 1 million over or under its budget it flopped. Um,
1 million
going
under. Yeah.
under, so it didn't do too hot. Critics gave it mixed reviews. There was praise directed towards the performances of Clock Duke, James Morrison, and Seth Green in particular, which I agree with. They are to me personally the three funniest people in the whole movie.
Yeah, I agree. Seth Green is a passive aggressive Amish guy was perfect casting. I mean, he's hilarious.
I like when Josh Zuckerman, like Ian goes into there and sees the car ripped apart, and he's all like, he's going to fuck me in the ass for roll quarters, and he's like, wait, whoa, we gonna do what? Wait, oh what?
I just love how he was so like, we're like when he fixed it, he's like, what do I owe you? Seth Green's like, oh no, we're cool. But if you feel like reciprocating, there's a lot that could be done around here. He's like, yeah, we're in a bit of a hurry. He's like, oh, okay, I get it. I mean, we did all this for you
for free. I like when they're like getting ready to fix it. He's like, oh, you guys just hang around, and it's Rumspringa, enjoy the party while, we slave away for hours at your car, fixing it for almost nothing. And I love how he just looks at them like, are you cool? Yeah, we're cool. Enjoy yourselves.
I liked in the when Seth Green like came upon Clark Duke in the car, and he's like, you need any help? And Clark Duke's like, well, yeah, but what would you know about this? And he's like, oh yeah, that's just your, like, he's like explaining, like, I wouldn't know anything about your 69 GTO. Good luck, English. And then drives off.
I love when he's like, the internet. Yeah, it's like this thing that connects everyone on computers. Computer? He's like, yeah, it's like this. I'm just fucking you, man. I know what all that is. I like when he's talking about the things he missed, and he just goes, and butt fucking. And they have him home. He's like, you're talking about chicks, right? Yeah. You're talking about chicks, right? Yeah, of course. Really missed that butt fucking.
It's important to note that we did watch the unrated director's cut of this, which is a lot crazier and just like maybe the weirdest director's cut I've ever seen.
There's a beautiful moment when they have like Seth Green and Clark Duke on the buggy, and they're just doing their riffing on stuff. And it's like the cool thing. I actually liked it. I wish they do it more often, at least for comedies. They kept some of the outtakes in the movie on their unrated cut, and it has a moment where like they start to laugh, and you can see them breaking character because this is getting so ridiculous. And Clock Dude's like, all right, and tries to leave, and he just grabs him, starts whispering in his ear,
this is gonna happen. Yeah, I thought that was a neat touch. I've never seen that in a movie before, and I want to see that more. Just leaving an outtake in the movie, and like you just don't know when it's gonna happen, when people are gonna break. When it's almost like watching a live play. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, it was great. Or like how they did the random scene when the garage door came up, and they inserted the shot of like and the sound effects of him sucking his dick, but then they cut back to the actual shot where he wasn't.
Yeah, that was odd. That was clearly Rex projecting. But yeah, cool.
Yeah,
it was an interesting director's cut.
Yeah, I will say I advise you do it like how they actually recommend. If you're watching this for the first time, watch the actual first, watch the actual film first, and if you like it enough, watch the director's cut. That's how I did it. I know not how you did it, but luckily you were all in on it still, so it worked out.
Yeah. Well, I was, I'd never seen the film before, and this is beyond the bad. So I was going with low expectations, and I was like, there's no way in hell I'm going to watch 5 hours of whatever this is. So, yeah, I would now, but at the time, not a chance.
Yeah. I'm about to say, I just seen the theatrical first because, it was on HBO. That's how I even saw it first, was like it was on HBO one day. And so that's how I watched it. I was like, oh, hey, unrated cut. I haven't seen that one yet. And I like it. And yeah, I do. Yeah. There was another one they kept, another outtake they kept where it's with David Ketcher, and he's like riffing, and you see Amanda Crew have a moment where she just like bursts out laughing and has to look away, and they finally get back to the scene.
Yeah, those were great. There was one where like Clark Duke, I think it was when Mary bailed them out and they come out, he comes out and he's like, Mary, and he says this, his voice goes high and they all just break. Oh my god.
Oh God, I love it because so like, and it's funny when people are always like, and it's funny, people who, and this is not me trying to like, be like, oh, the normies, you don't like film like we do. People are like, man, how can they stay so serious and get through? I'm like, no, you're seeing the take they finally were able to stay serious on. I'm like, usually, especially with comedies, when these guys, especially when you got the ones I mentioned, right? These titans like Seth Rogen, Paul Rudd, like for guys who got famous for particular for being able to riff so well. Just watch the outtakes. It's literally like 10, 15, 20 some all more minutes of them riffing, people laughing their ass off because they can't stop, and then finally picking one that works and was a full complete take.
Yeah, it's a hassle sometimes. I mean, they got to do shit ton of takes because some of this stuff is, once you start giggling, you can't just stop giggling. It's not possible. So yeah, once you start laughing, the day is fucked pretty much.
Yeah. And especially like when you got, I mean, in this case, when you have people like David Ketchner and Seth Green, yeah, like these are people that have proven themselves in the genre, and they're very, I mean, Jesus Christ, Seth Green's still doing fucking Robot Chicken for Christ's sakes. Like, so yeah. With all that said though, as you can probably tell, I'm going to speak on I think behalf of both of us say that I think we both consider this one the better teen sex comedies. And I know I definitely will always have fun time with this. It sounds like you will as well. So regardless of the outcome, the reception it got at the time, I am glad to see it kind of getting some second wind, people coming back to it, because I do really think it's a very fun movie, very funny movie. And I'll always have a fun time with it. Again, I understand 100% if certain things said by a certain character offend you and you just not your cup of tea. I get that. Don't watch it. That's all I got. Just don't watch it. Just move on.
Yeah, I second that. If you are easily offended, maybe just stay in your little comfort zone where things can't hurt you.
Yeah. Just don't do comedy, because some of the funnier comedies that I laugh at do tend to be offensive. Just saying. Yeah. I'm very much in that South Park brand of like Trey Stone, Matt Parker, like brand of like it's all funny or nothing's funny. I'm very much on board with that statement personally.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Did I fuck their names up?
Yeah, you flipped them.
It's not my night. Look, apparently, you know what? Long-term COVID. I can't say the title of my own episode. I can't.
Yeah, just chalk it up to COVID. Yeah, whatever. It's fine.
It kind of works out because we watched the unrated cut. So really, this is our unrated cut of this episode.
That's right. I'm not apart from some dead air due to some internet outages. I'm not taking anything else out.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Yeah. We're doing it in spirit of the unrated cut of this film.
Behind the scenes.
The only thing we're not doing is getting naked, because I'm not comfortable with that.
I mean, it's audio. How would they know?
I don't like how quick you were on that answer. Now I'm wondering how many times you've not worn pants when we're recording.
At least 6. Out of like over 200, 300 episodes per of all the shows, that's pretty good batting average, frankly.
Have you really had episodes where you don't wear pants? You're like, I'm just not doing it today.
Of course not. I always wear pants. Jesus Christ. I do worry about you guys though sometimes. I always wonder, like, is today the day? Who's free balling it today? It's a question I have to ask myself every time I record.
What to tell Josh to do when he comes back.
If anybody has not worn pants, I'd put the money on him. I don't know why. I feel like he would do that to me.
You got upset earlier at a text exchange we were discussing, but yet you assume he's the one not to wear pants on this show.
I just feel like he's older than us. I feel like he has less shame. He just
Oh, he does have less shame in certain ways. I would know I live with the man.
yeah, that's funny.
I've unfortunately,
Next time
I've
we're recording,
unfortunately
when Josh and I finally get to record when he gets back, I want you to. You're gonna be there, so I want you to text me if he's wearing pants.
you just at some point, like, because you can kind of see if he angles it right, you can see my bedroom door. You just in the background, you can't break that. You just see me opening my door. Because usually when he grows, I'll like try to stay in my room to be quiet. You just see me opening the door, like
You open
out.
the door and you give me either a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and then you just close the door. I'll know. He won't. Oh, we love you, Josh.
I can't wait for a text on his next port visit about the fact that he heard this episode. And he's like, "What the fuck, guys?"
Oh, good.
All right. Well, now that we roughed enough on Josh, apparently, I think it's time to move on to awards. Unless you have more you'd like to add to this film.
No, I'm good.
All right. So another week of hard to pick awards, if you ask me. Starting with our first one. At least another week for me because I missed last week. So so with that, the Zack Snyder worst scene.
I had to reach because I don't really think there's a worse scene in this movie. I think it's all pretty decent. I just went with personal preference. When they're in that girl that Clark Duke picks up at the gas station, they go to her parents' trailer. We get quite a zoomed in look at the dad's ball sack for quite a long time. It lingers for a few minutes.
Fun fact: one that was unique to the unrated cut, the lingering. Because even I was like, "Wow, they are not moving away."
I had a feeling you can't zoom in on balls that long in an R-rated movie.
No, and two, those were his actual balls. That's why there was that outtake in the credits when they're like, "Oh shit, the fake one's on the table," and they grab the fake ones off the table to get out of the shot because they were like, "Fuck it, we'll just use his real balls."
Holy shit, that's wonderful. Oh man. Oh, it's even more fucked up. Those are his real balls. So I didn't like watching. I didn't like looking at a ball sack for that long. It was gross. I do love that they asked them like, "Help yourself to a can of purple." That was a great line.
Like after when he pulls the soda, oh, it's really called purple.
Yeah.
For mine, I'm actually roughly in this, not that particular moment, but it's the same scene you picked. And it's how the fact that it's just something sexually speaking, I never want to experience or see in my life.
Oh, yeah.
That is when she turns around and is getting ready to shit on Lance. I'm not, to quote Dan Cummins, because I know we both listen to Time Suck. For the most part, I do not kink shame. You like what you like. I do it though within reason, and I'm sorry, but piss and shit goes to the toilet or the great outdoors only. I don't want it on my fucking body.
I will 100% kink shame people who are into that. That's fucked up. You should get some help.
Yeah, and that's the sole reason I put it on there. So I was like, no. I will say the punchline, the outcome was hilarious when he just burst through the door, still handcuffed to the fucking headboard.
I did love just how dedicated he was getting out of there. I was worried that because it was the unrated cut, I was like, oh God, what are we going to see? Thankfully, she didn't make it that far.
More fun facts to this scene, by the way. One, that was the director's sister, which he said that was incredibly hard to film, it being his sister.
Why would you cast your sister? Why would you give her that part? Jesus, man.
Next part that would make you laugh really good. At first, Clark Duke was going to have a nude body double, but they got someone whose ass looks noticeably older than Clark Duke's ass. So Clark Duke said, "I'll just fucking do it and get naked."
They couldn't find another guy.
Like, you're telling me there wasn't someone roughly around his age?
I love. Here's your nude body double. Body double. It's like an 80-year-old man. Like, no one's gonna buy that.
I love how at first he's like, I don't want to do it. Can we get it? They're like, yeah, sure. And the watching like, is it me? Does that ass look too old for a person that's supposed to be this age? And they're like, shit. And Clark Duke went, you know what? Fine, fuck it. I didn't want to, but I'll do it. I'll put my ass out there.
Put my ass on the line for you people. That's great. Jesus, what a wild bit of movie.
Oh yeah. I did laugh when Michael Carlos got fucking ran over by the GTO.
I love that I love when he fucking shows up at the end. He's like, I found your like Google Maps, asshole.
Love when like he's in the donut suit. I don't want you to stop. All right, you can punch Lance once for what he did. Lance is like, what the fuck? And he's like, you did try to fuck his score.
I love also like, and he came all this way.
Yeah, he came all this way. And you can even Lance was like, okay.
Then they become buddies.
Yeah, I like he's like, man, what a punch.
Oh, that was funny.
I love when that guy's like, I don't think you're going to be serious. Or like Rex gets ready to come. He's like, you knock that shit out. And then Mark goes, no, you should listen to the guy in the donut suit. He looks like he means it.
I love when he shoots the guy in the leg and he's like, anyone can shoot someone in the leg. He's hyperventilating and he's still trying to macho shit. Oh, good stuff.
Like, even Rex is like, holy shit, Ian.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, and all the shit that happens to his stepmom. Oh, my God.
At the beginning, when he makes her cry because he won't get out of bed, so applaud the marriage. They're all giving him shit.
And she slips on his semen-filled underwear.
Dude, when she walks in on him, like, humping the punching bag, she tries to discreetly leave. God.
Like when he's playing with the condom and she walks in and flies and hits her in the head. And that something about when she did that little like and tried to blow it off and just flopped up and back down. I died. I don't know why. It's just that little touch was so funny.
My favorite bit of that scene was when she was like, take care of yourself, and I'm sorry I didn't knock. Oh God.
I like how she's like the only parent, only one in that household that's actually like trying to be, that's actually nice to Ian, but all this shit happens to her.
Oh, funny show.
Oh, all right. Sorry, I had to talk about some of these scenes because
Yeah.
this movie is fucking funny.
It is.
If you ask me. Oh, all right. Next one. The Ed Wood, worst line. What do you got that we can say?
Yeah, I could have gone into, James Marsden's whole speech about how intrigued he is by cock, but I decided to go a different direction. I went with something that just I thought was annoying, something that if I ever heard anybody say this, I feel like I'd punch them on principle. And it's when Ian finds out that Miss Tasty wants to bang him, he says to himself, holy buckets, she wants me to give her the D. I'm like, fuck you, man.
Yeah, it's such an innocent way of saying, I'm like, dude.
Gee whiz. I'm going to make whoopee later. Like, Jesus Christ, man.
One of the few things I can't. Yeah, I remember when I was like, oh, okay. Especially when it's just a marked raunchy finger, like, all right. But I guess I get it in the sense of who his character is, but it's just like, God damn it, dude. The one of the few things I can repeat that James Marsden says that made me die was when he finds him in Tennessee. He to get him to finally leave him alone. He's like, Rex, I've been having these urges feelings as he's caressing the firefighter cardboard cutout. And Rex just, oh no, you're going out there and fuck a lady like the good Lord intended. And as someone who was raised in a very Catholic household, so I, to give you an idea of like the show I was raised with that I do not agree with, I died laughing at that part. That's not something out of line that you'll hear in fucking Texas. But it was just so funny. Like Rex's reaction during that part is just gold.
I loved what later when Ian's making out with Felicia and Rex just walks past him and he's like, "Thank God."
That quick little died. Oh. Like, I love how everyone deep down knew how they felt about each other, and as soon as he, thank God.
Oh boy.
It was funny is that scene when he says flip the tank. That was something new to the unrated cut because he says something way different, and you can kind of tell it does not match up with his lips, but it's still kind of funny. One more thing, Ian, make sure you fill up the tank. You've driven a long way here.
I love that. It's like, fill it up. Thanks. I love earlier when he's like, trying to borrow the car for a little brother. All you got to do is ask. He's like, can I borrow the car? He's like, fuck no. I wouldn't let you drive the Judge if it was parked on my schnutz. Jesus Christ.
I die. James, when he he had the feeling, right, that the car was coming. He's opening the garage door. I want to open it, and it's gonna be right there because that little fucking idiot brought it back, didn't drive it. It's fine. Lifts it, and he just immediately pulls it back down. Okay, we're gonna try to skin. And yeah, the way he just unloads on that thing, what killed me, I died. I die laughing. It's when the guy's walking past and goes, "Jeez, dude, calm down." And he just fucking runs.
What is he? I think he says like, "Hey, Knievel, how about you get your bike out of the street?"
he just fucking runs out.
Just chases his ass down.
That part was great when he gets off the bike and he just see it fly down the street. Look, James Marsden. Oh God, he commits. He fucking commits. So say what you know about things on his mouth. He is so fucking funny. Did you have any more lines? Sorry, if I get into mine.
I just had that one. Since it's worst line, I just kind of picked one because there's really not like anything I don't like in this movie. So okay. Yeah.
Fair enough. I had two, again, nitpicky ones. One is actually one I can get away with saying from Rex. And when they're in the car, he's taking Ian to work. And he does the whole like, you're 18 and haven't had a girlfriend. It's how guys go gay. Only because that's a hell of a stereotype and trope to pull on, that guys go gay because they can't get laid.
Yeah, that never made any sense. Like, if they were gay, they just fuck a dude, then they'd be laid.
Yeah, then they'd be laid. Like, it doesn't. I was like, no, that just means eventually they're going to pay for it, probably, once their pride breaks down enough. Like,
if anything, If anything, I would say those guys are probably the least likely to be gay because if anything, they're committed.
Yeah, they're like, nope, I want a female.
That's just that whole thing of like, if you're not constantly banging chicks, you're probably gay. Like, I'm glad we finally kind of like erased that from culture for the most part.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's just kind of, and something that so kind of exists by a lot of people. Like, I've even now, when I was visiting my family back in October, my aunt was telling me about one of her kids, my cousin, who he hasn't really been in a committed relationship for a long time. He's not in a committed relationship. He's not gay or anything. He's just not in a committed relationship. And apparently, his dad, not my uncle, because I actually, him and my aunt are divorced, but thought for a second, oh, maybe my son's gay because he isn't dating. It's like, no, he just isn't dating. Like, doesn't fucking mean shit. I'm sure people thought about that for me when I was like, before I got into my role phase I'm in now that I know I've talked about quite a bit with you. You know what I'm talking about. But before that, I'm sure people were like, "Is he gay?" He's like, "No, I'm just not dating." Like, why do we live in society that as a guy you have to be straight, you have to be blunt, you have to be slaying puss all the time. Just to be blunt, right? To
Yeah.
sound like all the people that have this thought.
But even if they are gay, then and
I mean, who cares? Yeah, it's like, okay, and
yeah, it's like that's gonna bring shame on the family or something. It's like that's the vibe. It's been for most of just like most of mankind's history until like the past 20 years, which is fucking
yeah,
crazy.
it's just an insane thing. It's a weird standard, and it goes into that double standard, right? That we have that like we heavily endorse guys being sluts, but a woman sleeps around and oh god,
Yeah,
it's not her exploring her sexuality or just being a woman. It's she's a slut. How dare she? You know what I mean?
I think
And kind of
we need to start, going. We need to go into more just like who gives a fuck what society thinks. Live your life your way. Gay, straight, transgender, whatever you are, do it. Do you the best way you can, and fuck what anyone else thinks.
like I say, live the life that makes you happy. At the
Yeah,
end of the day, we have one life on this earth. Eventually, we die. What happens after that, we don't truly know. So live it a way that makes you happy. That's all I got.
what's
So
your other?
yes. So my other one is, and I put it because it's only like real funny line dialogue. The only line dialogue this character gets, and then they quickly forget him. And it's when Lance's dad, when they're at the mall, goes up to his own son and goes, "Always wear a rubber." I mean, Christ. Like it's funny. I did laugh, but it's just a nitpick of like me going like, you had that funny line. Like I kind of wanted more of this dad because of it. I'm like, that was really funny. Give me more. So it's more of like, this is the only line I get.
I nearly went with there was a line when he's in the donut costume at the beginning and someone slaps a giant dildo on it and he's walking towards the dad and the little girl and he goes, "I got something tasty for your little girl." And the dad punches him down the fucking escalator. I almost had that, but I was like, that's too much.
Yeah, I did have to laugh when he gets somebody who's like, "Is there a dick on me again?" I'm like, how many times has this happened?
I love when Clark Duke takes the dildo and like just tosses it into somebody's shopping bag as they're walking past.
Oh god. You know what's funny? I forgot to mention this. He was not the first choice for the role. They were going to try to go for a traditionally like handsome guy for the ladies' man. But then when they met with Clark Duke, he had some YouTube thing he was doing with now another famous comedian, Michael Cera. And they discovered him on that, like the kind of like energy he brought to that. And said, like, how about we go against type and have it be like, yeah, he's still the ladies' man, but he looks like this. He does not look like your traditional ladies' man. And I think it works in the film's favor because he's hilarious.
I love that he's just got this, he exudes confidence. And
Yeah,
like that's what it is. It's like it doesn't matter what he looks like as long as he believes he's a coxman, he is.
yeah, like what is it? I love the scene at the party when Ian goes to the room with that chick that Lance tries to sum up with, and he just fucking fumbles and leaves, but comes back and she is clearly, you hear it all off screen, but there's obviously a dude inside her with a vibrator going as well. And you hear, "Oh, hey Ian, you wanna get in on this? I can move." He's like, "No, it's okay." And he leaves, and you see Lance come out, open the door. "Oh, hey," and all you hear is, "Oh, hey, move over, man." And he shuts the door.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Yeah, he was great. I love the I think honestly without Clark Duke, I think this movie loses points. I thought he was just a great pick. Because I love the whole idea of a goofy looking dude who just exudes sexual charisma for no apparent reason.
Yeah. Like look, I disagree with the critical take on this film, but I do agree with the three standouts to me being Green, Duke, and Morrison. I think all three of them really, like, the movie's funny even without them, but they really add some of the best laughs in the movie.
Yeah, I concur.
Yeah, like I said, you have someone like, I mean, Seth Green playing the most in type with his Amish smart ass stick. But then you have like, James Marsden, who, like we said, was known for leading roles in romantic comedy. So he's usually the guy you lust after in the movie for the, the teenage female audience. And now he's playing this complete just deep D bag that is just a terrible human being and having the time of his life. And then you got, like I said, Clark Duke, who's this goofy looking dude, but a complete ladies' man. So it works. And yeah, like I said, with my line, it's really not like a bad line. Like I said, it's a funny line his dad says. And you do get that other payoff when he's at the party and he sees his dad and his dad just says hi to him. Oh, your mom complains about me behind my back, right? No, almost like never.
I liked when at the party when Felicia's about to tell Ian that she has a crush on Clark Duke, but he takes it the wrong way and tries to kiss her, and she backs away, and it's like, it's a super awkward moment. And then she walks away, and there's that one guy who just like scorched.
I forgot about that whole subplot. I remember thinking like, oh no, don't fall for him. You want Ian, because like, look, I'll say like, when I first saw this movie, when I was saying, I had a huge crush on Felicia. Like, my God. Like, and again, if you, like you say, if you know me, it makes sense why I would like crush hard on this particular character. So I envisioned myself as Ian, like, no, fall for me, damn it. Like, don't fall for Lance. But I do like, again, I like how they handle that later on in this movie where Lance is like, you find out like Lance knew the whole time, but he's just like, nah, because you're into her, dude. So no. And I'm like, that's a bro. That's a friend.
Yeah, the dude's sex radar is like finely tuned. It really is amazing.
Yeah, I do. On the Hope Motel scene with him and the Amish lady, Mary, playing cards, clearly bored, and let's just have sex. Oh, thank God.
Rumspringa.
Oh. All right. This next one was the toughest, and mine, I know for mine's a nitpick. I changed it, but even then I'm like, I don't, but still, we'll get to it. So now for the Steven Seagal, the worst performance. So who did you put in this movie?
I did originally have James Marsden because I thought, is it too much? Is it too much? And
I had written him down originally too. He was my original pick because I thought what he says, this is not aged well.
Yeah,
as funny as it is.
He's such an asshole. It's like unbelievable at times. But I decided, no, for this kind of movie, he's fine. So I went with Josh Zuckerman as Ian because frankly, he's kind of an insufferable little bitch. And I think there were so many moments where he could have just taken care of this and he didn't take it. And I'm just like the way he talks to people, the way he's like, he's this mousy little, like, how does he have any friends? Like, I don't see it from Felicia's point of view. I'm like, what did she get out of this?
She probably got like turned on in that one scene when he finally takes control, which was fucking great. He's like, oh, you want me to turn around? You want me to flip a bitch right now? And I love fucking Clark Duke. Yes, I want you to flip a bitch right now. Do it.
Well, I also thought like the scene where he's, about to leave and she's trying to stop him. And he's just like, I can't be the guy who you complain to about your boyfriends anymore. Like, it's not enough. So I'm going to go do it unless you've got something better to say to me. Like, that was not a healthy way to handle that. I was like, it felt like he just fucked the friendship right there. And I was like, that's dark, man.
That in real life, that would have fucked. Then it's like, okay, so then now you clearly love. Do you want to be? And if I don't take that next step, you don't want to be friends with me, type of deal. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's like I'm just hanging around you so I can hope one day to fuck you. It's like that's not friendship.
That's not even into it really like how that came across.
Yeah. So I didn't like him. Yeah. I didn't like him. I thought he was annoying. I thought he was insufferable, and I was like, I was hoping he did eventually, at the end, grow a pair, but it took too long.
Yeah. No, I okay, that's fair. I do think my favorite scene with them is after he does the race and he runs over the possum and he has to keep trying to kill it because Felicia's like, oh God, it's not dead.
I love that the dudes in the sports car were those fucking dopes from the party. I was not expecting that.
What's up? What's up? You see where I got that from now? And I was always like, what's just randomly go, what's up? What's up? It's from that movie. It's from this movie.
I love that one kid who's just like, yeah. After everything the other guy says, like that's all he fucking says. Yeah.
I love when they meet Miss Tasty and she is like straight up like, yeah, let's go party without some clothes. And they're just like, wait, you want to party with us? Yeah, of course, with both of you. And he just rolls the fucking window up.
It got too real. They're scared.
I like when Lance is describing them and Ian's like, but they never get the goal. He's like, no, he's like, their closing game sucks, but their opening, legendary. And you got to commend them for that.
I love later when they're at the party, they're hitting on that one chick and they're like, you want a party? She's like, I'm at a party.
Like you want my, can I get your number? Do you have a cell phone? Oh, you don't have a cell phone?
I love those kids. One of them was a killer on Dexter. And I was like, I know that kid. And it's cool to see him be a dope.
They played really good dopes. They were funny. Can I ask you guys a question? You already asked this question. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good stuff.
All right. For mine, and again, it's another nitpick I don't feel super strong about. I put Katrina Bowden. Just because she just really does be like this, you get the big twist that she's actually bad still and things, but then you see like her dope boyfriend, you're like, how did they get involved? Because he seems like a fucking dope. And I don't know, it just was like, I've seen her do better. I've seen Tucker and Dell. I've seen her like really excel in comedy. I know a lot of people love her in 30 Rock, I believe was the show with Tina Fey that she was in.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people love her from there, but I don't know. I guess really probably would better if I had more of her, saw her more, as opposed to just relegating it to the end.
Yeah, I think we all knew that this the goal of this road trip was not going to happen. It clearly is not going to be some chick who's like, yeah, I'll fuck you. Something's going to happen. I expected it to be like, some giant dude he had to fight or something, but the idea that it was like she's just trapping people across the country, was interesting. So I thought she was interesting, but yeah, I think they could have gone further with it, or she could have, could have been better.
Yeah, I like I said, it's a nitpick. She is fine. Like I definitely watched this go. I see why she's had the career she's had now. But yeah, I did laugh when Ian's like, "Can you just get to Rex in the car river? Can you just get him back? I'm talking to someone." He's like, "Oh shit, who is it?" And he's like, "It's a gore online," and he just fucking slams on the brakes.
Don't you watch Dateline? Probably a dude. Yeah.
When Ian comes out to the car in his damn donut costume, and he mainly just, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah. I love when he shows up to the car in the donut, and Rex is just like, fuck off, donut.
Donut. Rex, it's me. Oh God. I look, I actually would love to see James Martin, but I'm glad to see him doing like a comedy with Sonic. I would love to see him doing R-rated comedy again.
Yeah.
And just let loose again.
Yeah.
Because he clearly was having like so much fun. You could tell he's having fun. With that, leads us to our next one. The Michael Bay worst filmmaking decision. So what'd you come up with?
This was really tough, and I ended up getting a little meta with it because I don't really have any beef with the movie. Really, it was just like, and it actually, your question kind of went into this, was this kind of comedy is starting to die off and I want more like this. I want more James Marsden as a crazy asshole. Like I want basically I want a sequel. I want more of this. I like these characters.
I would love to see James Marsden come back now at his age to see how, especially with how his character ends, to see how he would be.
Yeah. Like I think, I know this wasn't a success, so this would never happen, but I would love to see like where are they now kind of a movie, because I really like these characters and I like this movie. So that's really my nitpick is I want more.
Yeah, and that to me, and this is where I do feel like comedy is dying because of the insistence on PC. And I hate hearing the term like woke and SJW. I hate hearing, because I feel like those are just getting thrown around like willy nilly nowadays.
Yeah.
Oh shucks, willy nilly. But I do think that to an extent, us trying, and South Park actually kind of touched on it essentially with PC principle. But our need to be so PC and not offend anyone, I do think is hindering comedies a lot. I just don't find them as funny anymore. I know a lot of people liked it, but was it Booksmart? Essentially the more PC female version of Superbad. Personally, I didn't find it funny. And like, you think of me what you will. With that said, I know who I am as a character. You know me well enough to know I'm not a bigot in any way, but I prefer Superbad. I prefer the more offensive, irreverent take on it, because it could be just the time that I went to school when that stuff was said a lot more rampantly. So fortunately, I just kind of know how it was. Or the fact that it makes me laugh more. I don't know. I prefer that as opposed to trying to not try offend so hard recently with Booksmart.
Well, I think you can also just tell when comedy comes from a place of love and when it comes from a place of hate, and people focus too much on the content as opposed to the source. And that's a big difference for me. Like, that's why I can laugh at some crazy dark shit, because I know the person telling the joke is not an asshole. Like, that's a big part of it. And we got to refocus on that more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you. That's why I say, like, I'm trying to watch how I say. I know luckily we don't have a fan base that would destroy us, but
now, if anything, the crazier shit we say, maybe somebody will spotlight and be, can you believe what these people said about this?
Right. I mean, look, apparently people are mad at Thor Love and Thunder because they didn't get a fucking warning that cancer is part of the storyline. I don't know if you heard about that.
How is that it's in the comic?
Apparently a small minority group of fans are getting online and saying there needs to be a warning set up because of the whole chemotherapy scenes. It hits too hard at home for people that are going through that right now, and blah, blah, blah. And we should have been warned that cancer is a major part of the storyline. I'm like, are we really at a point where you guys are like saying we need a fucking trigger warning for cancer? I was like, did no one watch The Fault in Our Stars? Because I'm pretty sure that was a huge hit that you fuckers loved. And I think she dies at the end of the movie from cancer. From fucking cancer.
The last thing I want to do is shit on cancer patients, but y'all are making it hard not to. It's a movie. Jane Foster's not real. So Natalie Portman's fine. That's all I got to say.
She's fine. She apparently hasn't been in Star Wars films, according to Ratiti.
I heard about that. That was fucking hilarious.
I do love how he was like, I don't know. He kind of was like, I don't know why. I forgot. Like, he's like, I had a moment.
Oh my God.
I love what her response was. Apparently it was I've done Star Wars. Taika.
Ouch. That's wonderful.
Well, on that note of like kind of like the PC and stuff, like, so I did reach Brian. Now, look, again, mine's also a nitpick, a reach. So I actually do think it turns out really funny, but you could argue that yes, the decision to have Rex coming out as gay for being the entire punchline to why he's such a homophobic asshole may not age well for some people. Again, I personally laugh at it, but that was mine where it's like something that I can definitely see I could see not aging well for some, because then it kind of ties to that idea of like all angry, extremely homophobic people are really just secretly wanting cock. You know what I mean?
I think there's some truth to that, though. I think that
There's a lot of truth to it.
yeah, the louder you scream about how much you hate gay people, the more I think you are so gay and afraid of it. And yeah, I honestly like when he started shouting, homophobic shit. I was like, he's gonna be gay at the end of this movie. Like I called that shit. I was like, he's absolutely gonna be gay. But
I mean, look, I laughed at that dinner table scene when he's like crying. He's like, guys, I'm gay. I'm like, oh my God.
When dad punches the fucking turkey.
He has, for him, he's the type of dad that he has a gay son, a virgin son, and then his 14-year-old son knocked up his fucking fling. So in his mind, not winning.
No, but I think that in the more we often see, fucking ministers, preaching anti-gay shit who are then caught like blowing a dude in a rest stop bathrooms. Like that happens so much that it's just I correlate that. I correlate angry homophobia with being so deep in the closet you're having adventures in Narnia. So it's just that's what it's not my fault, it's not your fault, it's not the movie's fault. It's really just culture's fault.
Yeah. And even then there's also that societal part of just like guys in general just being so stupid about homosexuality. For example, we when they got we're talking about like, so one thing this guy was telling us that they played on the show was this guy would do this thing where you go and tell you, he'd be like, hey, tell me your top 5 crushes, right? You're like your celebrity crushes. One has to be a dude. So essentially, tell me your fucking man crush. I'm comfortable enough as a straight right dude to be like, yeah, I have man crushes. I can admit when a man's fucking attractive. I'm not going to fuck the guy. I'm not attracted to him sexually, but I can admit it. Jesus. But sure enough, we're talking about, and sure enough, some of the guys are like, oh man, don't say man crush. That's gay. No. I'm like, we're not saying like it, dude, like calm down.
If you know me at all, it's Javier Bardem. But yeah, it's weird how that's a.
Oh, I said Jensen Ackles. That's what I went with.
I get that.
Voice is fresh, dude. The beard. I wish I could look like that man.
If I'm not feeling like a tall drink of Spanish coffee, it's Henry Cavill.
That's a good one.
Yeah, there's nothing. It doesn't make you gay to say another man's attractive. What makes you gay is being gay. That's it. Like, I don't know why this is such an issue. Maybe it's because I was raised, away from all that shit. Like, my family was just, live and love. That's it. There's no hate in my heart for anybody, but really just assholes.
Yeah. Like it's okay. It's okay to be like, yeah, that's a handsome man.
Yeah.
They won the genetic gene pool. It's okay to admit that.
Yeah. Weird. Some people, I can't imagine going through life just with that as a priority. Like, you must live a sad fucking life.
Yeah. Well, eventually we had to reword some of the guys, but okay, who's your favorite fucking male actor in Hollywood? And then they were like, oh, Denzel Washington. Then, they started saying names. I'm like, it's like, God damn.
Well,
calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I was reaching on that. Like I said, I did laugh, but essentially playing devil's advocate. I can see for some people that probably doesn't age well. Since it does play in stereotypes that we just talked about that have, unfortunately, even in 2022 still persist in America, because certain ex-president definitely made some divide happen in this country. With that, let's go to what I think was, I would say, still hard for us, but in a good way, because this film to me had a lot of silver linings. And that is silver linings. The silver lining. So for you, I will say, yeah, go on.
This was just this was easy. Really, I could put the whole movie. Like, this was a win. I like when we get a decent flick here. But I wanted to narrow it down and just say the entire Amish sequence. That was brilliant. We'd never there's so few Amish moments in pop culture. You never see anything about the Amish. So to take it to this level was just hilarious.
I love how you word that. We don't get that many Amish scenes, but we got like the most definitely non-realistic Amish scene in film history.
Well, I love there was one moment where somebody yelled at, I think they yelled at Seth Green, like, "Witness sucked." like that's gonna hurt their feelings. Witness, the only movie like ever, the only like big movie ever made about the Amish.
Yeah, I laughed so hard that chick that just kept being Rumspringer and passing out. It is revealed she had one beer.
I love even the next morning she's still on it.
Yeah. Rumspringer.
Yeah, that was great. I just thought that whole bit was great. How they're like, you know, party, like we're gonna party with the Amish. What's that gonna be like? And then like the bus shows up, people are like, "Woo!" Oh god, yeah. The Amish girls just like flashing their tits at Fall Out Boy. It's like, what is this?
Which, again, I think that was specific to the uncensored because they lingered on that. They cut back to that so many times. And then there's clearly like because they purposely did not try to really edit well. You can see them reopening, so it's like, oh, okay, you guys are just reusing the shot, but fuck it, small boobs.
I did love the opening of the movie to like introduce the director's cut where they're like doing an infomercial terribly. Explaining like more laughs, more tits. And then like they showed like, see?
See?
More cock. Like it was funny.
Yeah, I did like at the end when Amanda Crew pops up and she got me because again, I'm like, God, she's hot. She's like, now that the movie's over, you're probably wanting to see, you know, one of the main characters tits. Well, here we go. 3, 2, 1, and she goes, just kidding, fuck you guys, and like flicks off the camera. I'm like, even I was like, aw.
Oh boy. What was your silver lining?
So me, it was hard because I was having a debate and had to do with performances. I was tossing it between James Marsden and Seth Green. And why I have picked one, fuck it, both of them. My silver lining is both of those motherfuckers. Seth Green kills it, has the most sarcastic Amish person I met. I love the line. Yeah, the Amish don't really, they take themselves pretty seriously. Like even he's like, yeah.
I loved when he's talking about things he misses and he's like, I really miss sarcasm. It's really lost on my people. I get it.
I like that one dude when like Ian left after his, and he's like, and Seth Green's like, man, we really need to get that kid laid. He just looks at one guy. Hey, is your sister still a slut?
Oh, the Amish.
Oh, so you can. He's just. Sorry, he's great. Like I said, regardless of like again, and James Marsden is really the one I say like if you get offended, just don't watch this damn movie. But goddamn, you can tell he's having the time of his life. I was laughing at what came out of his mouth. He's so fucking funny. He commits so hard to this role at a time that, you know, you would tell it in his mind he had to prove himself. You know, it was like, okay, this is what people know me for. So let me do something way out of left field, and this was it. And I love it. I fucking love it.
Yeah, I get it. He's hilarious. They both are. I like this movie. I think with comedy, especially, I mean, you see it in horror a lot, but I feel like in comedy, I almost never trust the critics because, like, you know, what you find funny is completely subjective. So yeah. I always try to give those the benefit of the doubt and then watch it for myself. I mean, if they're like a 0, they're probably on the money, but middle ground, like 45%, I'm like, yeah, it's probably not going to be too bad.
Yeah, it'll be a fun time. Even I know you saw Without Paddle, and I think you gave it a 6.
It's 5 or 6, yeah.
5 or 6. I like it a little more than you did, but even then, like, no, it's not one of my favorite comedies, but it's fun enough for me that I can watch it and have a good time. You know what I mean? Like I can turn on and be like, oh, I'll watch this.
Their buddy who disappears at the beginning of the movie was Homelander.
Is it?
I believe it was.
like a pre-famous, like a pre-well-known.
Anthony Starr before. Let me confirm that. Yep, Anthony Starr.
Oh shit. There's a there was a video Quaid, the guy who plays Huey. Holy shit. Jack, goddamn. Jack Quaid posted going like, for you guys wondering why me and Anthony Starr work so well together on set or can, create such a believable rivalry. This is how we actually are. And he's talking, he's like, hey Anthony, and he's just gonna go, shut the fuck up. Like, and he's like, you want to hang out? And he's like, no, I want to get the fuck away from you. And then he goes back to Jack. He's like, see, we're best friends.
That's wonderful.
Oh,
I bet they have so much fun making that show.
Oh, they have to. I was like, if they have that kind of like rapport, like they clearly they have a good time. All right. Well, with that said, it's time to move on to our next segment, which hopefully aligns with how we feel about this film. We'll see. And because as you guys know, I don't look this stuff up. This is all on my co-host. And that is what's in the box.
What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
It's a pretty interesting mixed bag. There are a lot of people who are like, this was so funny. And then I saw one guy wrote like a 5-page essay about how much he hated this. And I decided not to bring that in because that's too much to read. But he was like, it was aggressive. 2.7 out of 5 on Letterboxd. So again, pretty middle ground. And I found 5 pretty short ones that I think will make you laugh. It made me laugh. Number 1, this is from Mitch Francis. Rumspringa, 4.5 stars.
That's all you need to say.
This next one is from Fleeting Relevance. This sounds like it comes from a real place. Let me tell y'all something. Ain't nothing in Knoxville worth all this hassle. 2 stars. Ooh, someone got hurt in Knoxville.
We got a Knoxville local. Oh boy.
This one was hilarious, and I also picked it because the guy who posted it is named Ian.
And wait, before you read that, in general, I'm just gonna say this, right? There's no like vagina, dick, whatever you swing for, worth on this earth as far as I am concerned, unless you better vet this shit, especially someone who does see episodes of Catfish for fun. That's worth traveling across the country for. You look, if you're going to make that decision, you better fucking vet like crazy.
Yeah. You do a Zoom call first, you see the person, you know they exist, then you go find them. Don't ever do a cross-country drive like that on faith alone. Are you fucking crazy?
Yes. Especially like, look, not to be like, I sound like a dude right now, but like if you're doing it to get laid and you travel that much and don't get laid, is it worth it?
With today's gas prices, absolutely fucking not.
Even with the original gas prices, still not. Still not.
The original gas prices. Odd way of putting that. I'd imagine like the fucking Model T paying like half a penny a gallon.
Pre-pandemic gas prices.
Fair enough.
Actually, I'm sorry. Pre-Ukraine war gas prices, because that's really when this shit skyrocketed. For those that are trying to pull look, under Biden's, no, it's because of the shit going on in Russia, Ukraine. That's what happened, people, not because of Biden.
The roaring 20s are back, folks. This made me laugh. This is from Ian. I still haven't seen Parasite, but I watched this. 1 star. I don't see the connection at all, but
2 different movies, 2 different. I love other side. People do that a lot. I've noticed they'll do that shit, especially with Oscar films. Will be like, yeah, I haven't seen this Oscar film, but of course I've seen this. I'm like, okay, and your point?
Yeah, look how different I am. It's like,
yeah, it's like, okay, you didn't watch the foreign, blend of genre movie. Which, by the way, Parasite, wonderful film, great film. I'm not downing Parasite. But okay, you didn't watch that. You watched the teen sex comedy, and you're clearly someone that doesn't like to have fun based off that statement in your score, sir. So fuck you.
Yeah. Fuck you, Ian. This one's from Riley Rose. Citizen Kane of our generation. 5 stars.
My God.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
how we just had 2 different extremes there.
This movie's dog shit. This movie is manna from heaven. Those are the 2 camps. Pick one and live there.
Subjective.
Yeah. And this last one is from Drink of Water. What a strange, stupid time 2008 was. 1.5 star. Fair enough.
Yeah. Early 2000s. I'm starting to realize we're a lawless wasteland.
Pretty much. Yeah. So that is all that's in the box. Pretty much everyone's like, I either love this or hate this. There's not a lot of, that's usually the what we got going on there.
Well, I can speak on at least half of the Filmgazm team. We love it.
Yeah, I enjoyed this.
Or whatever, you split it 5 ways because there's also Josh. However you split it, 2 members of the Filmgazm team love it. There.
We love you, Josh.
Love you. It's been gone a long time. But all right, on that note, time to do a little house cleaning for reveal what is on next week's docket. So you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under Filmgazm Productions. If you want to shoot us a recommendation, you can feel free to email us at filmgazm@gmail.com. Hint, there's a certain opening in the schedule now because of a certain film getting delayed. So, if you have recommendations, I'll take some. If you'd like to donate and support us in that way, you can find us on Anchor. And finally, feel free to get on our site, filmgazm.com, for reviews, trailers, articles, and all of our episodes. Now, next week, we'll be looking at the film adaptation of Michael Crichton's novel, and not the one you're thinking of, because this is beyond the bad. The other one, that's not the Andromeda Strain. Congo. A film I've been meaning to watch, which is why I put it on here, and I didn't realize it had a great fucking box office. I was like, Jesus Christ. People saw this shit in droves, but critics hated it. So I'm looking forward to giving it a shot.
Yeah, this is the Crichton movie that came out between Jurassic Park and The Lost World. So, of course, everyone was like, ooh, let's check this out. But hasn't not aged well. I personally am a bit of a fan. I don't think it's great, but I do like it. It's got some of my favorite actors in it: Tim Curry, Bruce Campbell. Like it's a fun movie. Next week's gonna be a blast.
Yeah. I've heard about this one for a long time, and I was like, fuck it, I'll put it on. I try to put stuff on that I haven't seen, which might bite us in the ass on one film that I forgot is coming up. That's not my type of film that we talked about earlier, but I was like, fuck it, I gotta get out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not looking forward to that film. I'll tell you after. Can't really inspire us here for the folks at home. On Filmgazm, we are still doing the gauntlet, and we are looking at what I would say, and I understand Halloween came out before, but I would argue before this lawsuit destroyed it, the king of slasher films, the backbone of the 80s slasher decade of film. Because Michael honestly just opened the door for Jason to fucking run as Friday the 13th. Just because you don't like it, just because you don't get it, but Friday 13th, it's the king of slashers.
Don't break your arm jerking off Jason over there.
I'm just saying it's the king of slashers. It was the backbone. The only thing that killed it was the lawsuit. Like the lawsuit took down the king. The lawsuit looked the king square in the face and shot him. And
I think
someone can revive.
I think a triple trip to Manhattan, hell, and space killed Jason before anyone else could, frankly. But
Nope. Lawsuit. People, they were trying to get one made for that lawsuit. So you shut your mouth.
We'll talk all about that on Wednesday. I can't wait.
It's gonna be great. So yes, the king, the definitely the backbone of the Hades, because dear God, there was one every year, and I love it. On Oscar Sunday, they'll be looking at the Japanese, right?
Yes.
I was like, I realized when I typed it, I was like, oh shit, I did not actually look up to clarify and make sure I don't fuck this up. So Japanese drama, Woman in the Dunes. Until then, maybe think twice before traveling the country with your friends to lose your virginity to someone you met online. They may not be who they say they are. See y'all next week on Beyond the Bed.